Indeed it is, and man, this board drives me nuts some nights. Anyway, welcome to Cosmic Blueprints. Just waiting for Tony to get on the board here, and also waiting for Clive DeCarl as well. So, if there's any issues with Clive, I can bring him in with me. Tony can't log in. All right, well, I'll pull you in with me then. Okay, here we go. Tony, you're coming in with me. And just to save any more problems here, because it's been fun here. All right, and let's just bring everybody into the same call. There we go. Saves all the bother. Tony, are you there? Yeah, loud and clear.
Great. Okay, brilliant. So, like I was saying, yes, for some reason I can't sign in. Yeah, I wanted to say hi to everybody.
Okay, hang on, Tony. Before we go, if someone has got their mic open, I believe it's Clive. Can you please mute out because it's picking up and feeding back, and it's going to drive me nuts.
Yep.
Thank you. There we go. Go ahead, Tony.
Okay, is everybody else muted out, guys? Yes.
Yeah, we're good. If you're not talking, mute out, please, as it steps on everybody else, and well, you wouldn't want it happening to you. That's why we have this kind of, if it's a rule, it's just a courtesy more than anything. So just be mindful when you're not talking. Hit the little mute button, and it's all good. Take her away, Tony.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Cosmic Blueprints, and we've got an amazing show for you tonight. We've got some of the best people that I could possibly imagine to pull together. I'm going to have to go through them one by one to introduce everybody. Two of the gents you've heard before. We have with us tonight Clive DeCarl on vitamins, minerals, nutrients, supplements, and a whole lot more. We have Paul Dean on essential oils and how they can help the body and help heal many different aspects of illnesses, imbalances, and such things. And we've even got Richard Cumbers with us tonight, who's doing some incredible work on energy medicine. And cutting a long story short, energy medicine was developed by the Russians for the space program, of this particular type anyway. And yeah, Richard can tell us all about that. So, I mean, basically, I'm going to be doing the hosting tonight because these are my fields type thing. I know more about these fields than Kate. Now, the point being, we're having a couple of problems as well connecting with Clive. So what I'll do for now, I'll just go straight to Richard. Are you there with us, Richard?
Oh, can I just jump in here quickly? Because I have all of you in the call, if I get zinged on Skype, it goes down. So I'm going to ask Carol, who is always on the board, I'm going to open your mic right now. So if for any reason we get zinged, because it's a normal happening with us, Carol, the floor will be yours, and everyone else in the call, if we get dropped, just relax. I'll reset the call and get you all back in as quickly as I possibly can. Okay?
Lovely. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate it very much. Okay, so, just cheers. And hi, Carol. Beautiful. Just to start with, we'll get Richard, because I can actually see he's actually connected in at the moment. So are you there, Richard?
Yep. Hi, Tony.
Excellent. Yeah, you've probably heard, again, a basic intro into what we're actually doing, but you've been doing some things recently with Clive DeCarl over in Brighton. So I wonder if you could just give us a quick update on what happened over in Brighton and how the actual event went, because you did a bit of a seminar on health and went down quite well, to say the least, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I met Carl. We tied up in Alfriston in Sussex in the UK about a year and a half ago, and we've talked on Skype. We met again at this seminar come sort of talk over in Brighton, which is a nice place. The sun was shining, very nice too. Clive was doing a talk about many wonderful health products that he has come across over the years and now helps to get out there to the public and doctors alike. And I did a part after his talk about energy medicine and how things like the scanner technology can be incorporated into changing the coherence of the body rapidly. And of course, the great thing about it is that if you think about healing as making the body more coherent, if the body has the right substances in it, and by that I mean not just vitamins and minerals, I mean the right coherence to start with, in as much that the environmental toxins are to a minimum, which means things like Wi-Fi, radiation, E-numbers, microwave foods, smart, the whole range of things, the plethora of things that can cause a health issue, then the type of energy medicine that we look at is far more effective, because most of it goes into healing, as opposed to trying to metabolize something that you need in the first place before you can heal. So the talk was great. We had, it was quite a small affair. We had, 30, 40 people there. And Clive did a fantastic job in showing you everything from Celtic sea salt to ozonators, and really showing you how you can just incorporate these into your own lifestyle and what a difference they can make. And then after that, I was dealing people mainly with pain, and I got people up on the stage, I think maybe 6, 7 people, different types of pain, from shoulder pain, back pain. One girl had fibromyalgia so badly that she couldn't even stand up. She had to sit down because the pain was so bad she was shaking with the effort of standing. And I treated all of them just through the arm, irrespective of where the pain was. And I think I'm right in saying that I think about 6 out of the 8 were completely pain-free at the end. And this was in pain levels of between 3 and 4 or 5 or 6. And the other 2 who were in much more severe pain, certainly the girl with fibromyalgia, went, I think, from a 9 or a 10 to a 1 or a 2 in about 3 minutes. So it's a wonderfully gratifying experience, to see this and to be involved in it, because every time it happens, it always amazes you. Had been, or most of them actually had relatively good diets and lives probably, but certainly the ones that may be in more pain, if they'd had some of these essential vitamins, minerals, lipids, fats, and therefore the associated emotions, chicken and egg, which came first, then they probably would have responded even faster. So, yeah, great time in Brighton, and thanks a lot to Dominic Gleeson, who put that event on.
Yeah, absolutely. Dominic's a guy that's done some training in this technology, and like you said, I mean, it's amazing the effects that you can have with energy. It's amazing what effects you can have with literally connecting back to the ground or earthing as well. And I mean that's a lot of one of the main problems. We're always insulated from being in contact with Mother Earth, so there's an energetic imbalance that builds up in people. And I mean, you can give us a couple of seconds on that if you would, Richard. I know you're aware of those sort of things.
Yeah, what I find very interesting is obviously the field we're in is vibrational medicine. It's energy medicine. I suppose you could say to one extent that energy medicine is anything that can get the body to heal non-invasively, and also anything that can raise the vibrational frequency of the body back to some coherence. So if you looked at, for example, the frequency bands that the organs work out, you could see that in the megahertz range, and that's millions of cycles per second, you've got lungs at around about 58 to 60, 65 megahertz. You've got the liver at 55 to 60 megahertz, stomach's 58 or so to 61 or 2 or something. And you start to see that any infections and problems typically drop the megahertz, the vibrational frequency of the body. So, and at the same time they do that, they also switch the body, or probably because the body's in their wrong state anyhow, from an alkaline state to an acidic state. So ultimately, anything that picks up energy is great. So there's earthing, there's getting in the sun, there is sun gazing. One of the best ones is actually standing in the sea. People seem to forget that, the sea water is pretty wicked stuff when it comes down to it. And I think from what Clive was saying, and Clive picked me up on this if I'm wrong about this, but I seem to remember you on your talk saying that pretty much if you inject seawater into someone's veins, it pretty much replaces blood or similar. So by standing in the sea and getting the sun at the same time. This is why a lot of people, they're quite ill and they go away on holiday and they say, well, I went away and within 3 or 4 days I was feeling a lot better. And they just say, well, I was going on holiday. Well, think about what you were doing. You know, your stress has gone probably, but you were in the sun probably, and you were probably in the sea. So they do see sun, sea, sand, and I think sex, But of course, sex is important too. Look at Wilhelm Reich with the function of the orgasm and the Bion experiments. So to reconnect to the earth, get rid of those awful plastic shoes, get away from the concrete terraces and the concrete houses, and to walk on the earth, to stand in the sea, to stand in the rain, and connect back again and smile. And smiling is good too. So, you know, that's where it's at. It just...
Absolutely. And connecting back in with nature again. This is what we've lost, you see. This is the whole point. It really is amazing what standing on the grass and feeling the grass under your feet can do. You're exchanging electrons with the earth, and that's what's supposed to be going on naturally. But because of today's environment and how we actually go about our interactions with everything day to day, we've lost a massive chunk of that. But we're waking up. We're beginning to realise, right, all of this negative stuff's happened, and we need to get back to how it used to be, and that is indeed what's got to be done. But yeah, brilliant, Richard. I'm just going to pop over to Clive for a minute. Are you there with us, Clive? Yes.
I am indeed.
I can't find my mute button, is Karen.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Okay, Richard was just telling us, you heard there about the event over in Brighton and salts and various other bits. Would you like to add to what Richard just said, please?
Well, it seems that people really do need to wake up to the really simple elements of health, the elemental side, the water. It amazes me how many people actually aren't even filtering their water, let alone taking further steps. It amazes me that people still believe that organic food they buy at the supermarkets like Deathco is going to really be worthwhile. So I'd like to stress just the how to turn small amounts of food, for instance, into large amounts of food. How by sprouting, for example, one can bring the food alive. You go home with, say, a kilo of mung beans or something. A few days later, you sprouted them, they've become 3 kilos of mung beans, and now they're maybe, 50 times, 100 times, maybe in some cases 500 times higher in nutrient value than they were 3 days ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if people look at things like lemongrass and chia and stuff like this, superfoods, they've got so much protein and vitamins in them, it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is the stuff that your immune system needs to work, people. Everything that's wrong with your body is imbalance, or, it's basically your immune system hasn't got the tools in the toolkit to fix the problem most of the time. And the majority of the time it's because of the imbalances that have been generated within the body. But you give that immune system and all the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, supplements, etc. it needs, trace elements and various other things, electrolytes, and it'll fire up like a brand new Porsche. And that's the point. And that's what we're trying to get. That's the information that's crucial for you to understand. Your own immune system will fix you. You don't need chemical crap. That's the problem. Yeah? But, I mean, absolutely. That's, what you just said there, hit the nail on the head. You can take a small amount of sprouting beans and shoots, and the amount of chlorophyll in them, and the goodness that's in there, the living energy that seed will generate, will be many times the value of the value of the seed itself.
Well, the really important factor is that a lot of people don't have the luxury of a garden to grow their food in, but you can grow really fresh salads of so varied a description, in a cupboard, it doesn't matter, the seeds don't care whether it's in the light, in the dark. You know, you can be on the 35th floor if necessary, they still seem to manage. And you know, there are so many really interesting seeds around, so you can build a salad with maybe 15 different seeds, from things like sort of beetroot seeds to onion chive seeds and celery seeds, whatever you like. I mean, I think the broccoli seeds probably are one of the healthiest seeds around. You know, the anti-cancer properties of the broccoli seed of broccoli is incredible. But once you take organic seeds and sprout them, then you've got a massively powerful thing. You could then go a step further. After sprouting them, you could then ferment them. You know, there's so many things one can do with food to bring out the maximum potential.
Absolutely. And Richard mentioned Celtic salts. Sorry. Can you give us a quick rundown on that one?
Well, you know, the Romans recognized the value of salt. You know, the Roman legionnaires were paid in salt, not in money. And the Romans knew that the sea salt was far more useful because they could tell they kept records of stuff. And they realized that the soldiers who ate the sea salt did far better than soldiers who ate the land salt. And the thing is that the land salt is always dry because over the millennia, the rain and the water has washed through the layers of salt, which, you know, obviously were dried up seas from the past. But that water passing through it, the rainwater, has washed away the more soluble of the minerals, like magnesium, for example. So magnesium attracts water to it. So if you dry out some ocean, you dehydrate a bit of ocean, let's say the Atlantic, and now you know what you do is you trap the water in a shallow area by the beach, and you let the sun and the wind dry it out, and then you rake it up into piles, and it gets as dry as possible, and you put it into bags. Now, you could really dry it out so it's totally dry, then you bring it indoors, open the packet, and within half an hour or so it'll be wet, because it's so magnesium rich. The ocean normally is so magnesium rich that salt from it is always a bit damp because magnesium attracts water. So all the salt companies, pretty much, that one is aware of, all the salt companies who sell in supermarkets, they all deliberately remove the magnesium, and proudly so. They say, our salt is dry because we've removed the magnesium. But in removing the magnesium, they've now turned a perfectly naturally balanced, perfect food, salt, a necessary food really, into a processed food where they've removed some of the best bits. And it's a bit of a disaster because everybody thinks they're eating good salt when they eat, you know, in inverted commas, sea salt. But if that sea salt's dry, it's rubbish. And so when people eat real salt, real dehydrated ocean, and Celtic salt is, if you like, the code name for real salt, particularly the type that comes from sort of the Celtic areas, which are the west coast of France, for example. And when you eat the Celtic salt, it tastes completely different. It's you know, it's not as salty, if you like. It's much, much nicer. And very few people, strangely, have actually tried it. And it's brilliant with food. If you've got low blood pressure, it tends to raise it. If you've got high blood pressure, it brings it down. You can't have too much of it. All the scare stories about salt were always about sodium chloride, and as we now know, ordinary, so to speak, sea salt that's been processed.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what they do. They muck with everything and then, you know, turn around and try and claim it's better somehow. You know, and, you know, we can go right into that with Codex Alimentarius, Agenda 21 and all the rest of it, but no need. The point is, you know, all the good stuff they drain out, like you said, and all the bad stuff, they hold it up as, oh, this is brilliant for you, you know.
There are so many new subtle ones that are being brought in. The one that I noticed a year or so ago that a lot of people still are just picking up on now is that a loaf of bread that you buy in a packet used to be 100% wheat. And most people still assume that that's the case. But if you look at almost every packet of bread these days, it says something like 43% soya. And I don't believe that soya if it's not been processed in the sense that it's not been fermented or it's not been treated with magnesium chloride like tofu is, I think pure soya is not a healthy product for humans, mainly because it produces a vegetable type of estrogen which works in the body like an estrogen mimic. So all bread these days, every sandwich pretty much is almost half soya, which I believe is poisonous. And the person who's most associated with soya in this country is Linda McCartney, who, as far as I understand, was a fantastic lady, but she was famous for her soya products, her food products, and she died of cancer very, very young, and I'm afraid she may have eaten the products.
This is the point. What's held up as good isn't always good. In fact, 9 times out of 10 is the opposite.
Unwittingly, the population of the country mainly is eating a product which, if they knew was an estrogen mimic, they wouldn't eat.
Just on that point, Clive, over in Ireland recently, myself and a friend of mine were in, I think, Tesco's. I think you refer to Tesco's as Deathco, which I think is probably about right. But we went round and we looked at all the breads, and there were a lot of them. I mean, there was an amazing amount of them. I forget how many, but at least 60 or something, 70 maybe. And we looked at all of them, and we only found 2 breads that didn't have soya in them. And of course, most soya now is GM modified anyhow. And as we know in America, the law is that if there is less than 5% of GM modified substance in a product, they can put GMO free on it, which is absolutely mad. It's like saying if there's 4.9% arsenic in something, we can put arsenic free on it. And in Europe, the legislation is now that if there's less than 1% GM modified, they don't have to declare it. So the chances are that all these soya things now getting into products, as you say, Clive, are not only causing problems with the estrogen balance, but are also causing problems because it's GM modified.
Yeah, absolutely. And also this estrogen as well, it's feminizing males. This is part of the thing, it's twisting the genders as well. It's one thing doing it in a balanced way, like, tuning up both hemispheres of the brain, but it's another thing changing it physically. But anyway, the point being, it's mucking with our systems on a massive scale. But again, there's lots of different areas here and lots of different modalities, so we're getting a lot of very good information here tonight, guys. So having said that, I'd like to bring in as well Paul. Now, again, Richard's energy, Clive is, nutrients, etc., and Paul knows all about oils, etc. So I'd like to just start out by saying, what information out of what have you heard tonight, at the moment that you understand, Paul, or you gel with?
Oh, no, everything that you've been saying coincides exactly what has been around me for the past, 30 years doing alternative medicines. And we very much with the essential oils, they incorporate lots of different parts. They have, the energy or the life force of the plant. And so they're very great to using as sort of like homeopathics or just using for energy medicine for healing. Wonderful for the emotions and emotionally releasing. Then you also have the biochemical makeup of the essential oils that can not only feed the body and assist the body in repairing itself, but it can also do wonderful things for the physical structure, help stimulating the circulation to promote rapid healing, get rid of pain, assisting in the cell division. There's oils like frankincense that go between the blood-brain barrier, where you can now treat diseases of the mind. People with seizures, just having them smell frankincense, they can stop seizures from happening, even prevent them. So all of this with the energy and with the physical chemical components, it just fits right along with everything that I'm doing.
Absolutely. You see, that's the beauty of this, because you're getting, you guys listening tonight, honestly, that if you bring all of these three modalities together, you have got everything that the body needs. And obviously you need to look at diet, but apart from that, if you understand how the body's getting clogged up with gluten from bread and, these sorts of things, and you look at the diet to start with, that'll stop a lot of problems that you find. And then you can just work on each situation that you find yourself in. You might be diabetic, might be, emotional. It could be the sea salts, and therefore, you've not got enough electrolytes in your brain, and the brain's misfiring in the wrong ways. The oils can help that. The energy medicine can help that, and the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients can help that. All of these imbalances, you see, can all be addressed by one and all collectively of these modalities. And there's other aspects to this as well, where we go really etheric, which is just, I am Buddha and I can just heal myself like that, but we're not quite there yet. The point is, these things are here, and these are available for us to help heal ourselves, and that's what the key points are. With that one, I want to pop back to Richard and just see if you got any comments on what I've just said.
I think what's so interesting here is that all these things are synergistic with each other, and anything that really works is naturally synergistic because it really works. And I think the simplicity is the important thing, and understanding, for example, that as Paul was just saying about the oils, I've been using the oils for essential oils for maybe 8, 9, 10 years, and I'm always amazed and really happy with the results. As I said, they're very wonderful to change emotions going through the blood-brain barrier. They're very small atomic mass units. They get right through and change brain functioning quickly. But I think what the nice thing about here is to really understand that the body is holographic, and that with a hologram you can take a small part of the hologram and recreate the whole. And all of these things, I think, are working at a holographic level. Likewise, there was a Russian scientist called Professor Budakov-Kavosky, and he, for example, was showing that when he took a raspberry plant that had a callus, in other words, you could say that the callus is a tumor or a cancer of the raspberry plant. But what he did, he took a picture of a healthy raspberry plant, and he shone it back through a hologram at the raspberry plant with a callus, and guess what? It became completely normal again. So when you start looking at what the Russians are doing, and they seem to be well ahead of the West with this, we really see that when, for example, we use something like the Pain Genie scanner to treat ourselves, or we take an essential oil, or we take some Celtic sea salt, these things are synergistic at many different levels, and indeed their activity, that they're really kind of biotransmutation devices. So if the body needs a particular element and it doesn't have things, and then create exactly what it hasn't got. And so with that dead raspberry plant, or part of it, just shining a laser through it with the energy of a coherent plant was enough to re-establish the hologram. So I think really it's really simple, and it's just a shame that we have to deal with a plethora of incredibly destructive technologies, whether it's looking at the types of oil and gas we have and fracking, to the type of foods we have, which really are nothing more than large areas where things are pretty much dead. And you look at really from megahertz range of vibrational frequency, when you start to get beneath 20 megahertz or 20 million cycles per second at this level, you've got death. Cancer starts appearing at 42 megahertz, and tissue breakdown from disease starts occurring at around about 45, 48 megahertz. And really, this can be made very simple with an acid-alkaline balance, and just simple things like good quality food, like Clive was saying, sprouted food contains 30 times the energy of non-sprouted food. So with a combination of these products that we've been using for a long time, most things that seem degenerative, impossible conditions to treat become, well, the body is amazing once it's got the right information. And most things we're seeing now, when people put this into practice, is they're getting well from serious problems and getting well relatively quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. I mean, a lot of people might be sitting here thinking, well, that's great, but I can't get my hands on, this lemongrass or this chaya and stuff like this. Guys, you can grow this stuff. You can take a couple of fluorescent bulbs, stick them in a cupboard in your kitchen, and grow on a couple of trays. Do you know what I mean? Just watering them every day and grow them in your kitchen cupboard. So you don't need shed loads of room. If you took a wardrobe, the amount of highly nutritious food you could grow in a wardrobe with a few low-pressure sodium lights is off the chart. You will be bouncing off the walls within, a couple of weeks. So we can all do it. You don't have to have a garden. You can have a window box, and put things in a window box, the herbs and spices and all sorts of things you could put in there. But it's actually making the effort and going, you know what? I'm actually going to do this. I'm actually going to construct a window box, stick a couple of bits of metal on it, hang it out the window and stuff some seeds in it and watch what happens. Pretty damn soon you'll get well into doing it, or you take a cupboard and put some fluorescence in it. It's easy done. Hydroponics, aeroponics, aquaponics, you can look all this stuff up. It's just a case of actually getting on and doing some of that. What do you reckon to that, Clive?
Well, absolutely. It's the most rewarding thing, planting food that you can then eat. And some foods are so easy, it's ridiculous. I mean, herbs are great. This is now the time of year to obviously get going with that. I used to have a very small organic farm for a while, and that was a very interesting experience because you could, you quickly found out that the things to grow were the things that in that area grew well. And I discovered that the strata of the minerals change from one field to the other. And, it's important to understand that these days, if the food is grown in depleted soil, then, the minerals are just going to be gone. And even if that soil is turned around and now labeled as organic, when they came, I had my farm and it never had chemicals on, and one day they came and said, we want money so that we can certify you organic. And I said, what will it take? And they said, well, if you haven't had chemicals on the land for 3 years, you'll probably be fine. But if we find residues, then by 5 years, you'll be fine and we'll certify your land organic. But the problem is that it could be hundreds of years maybe before that land, if it's had chemicals on it for a century, is going to be restored. Way back in the 1930s, there were reports, lodged with the American Senate saying that no man alive could live on the fruits and vegetables of today because they're so depleted in minerals. And that was 80 years ago. Things have got a little worse now. So you look at the mineral content of fruits and vegetables compared to, say, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago, and you'd really be shocked. You might think, oh, well, maybe there's 10% less minerals than there used to be. But in some cases, it's 98% less than there used to be because they've messed with the plants so much. If you've thought about, would you want to eat a strong, robust, fertile plant or an infertile plant that's so far from what it should be, it can't reproduce itself? So when I was young, cucumbers had seeds in, and they were curved, and you could take the seeds and you could dry them and plant them. Everything had seeds in. Now everything doesn't have seeds in. We're eating this sterile food, and it just shows you that without even genetically modifying it, just by hybridization over and over, that food that's been that modified that it can't have babies, so to speak, does not have the mineral and vitamin content that it used to and that our bodies expect. So regrettably, these days, unless we're lucky enough to be eating food that's being grown on absolutely perfect, untouched soil. Regrettably, really all of us have to supplement, and a lot of people don't realise this. We didn't used to have to do it, but we do now.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this, I mean, I know it doesn't make it any better, and I know it doesn't solve the problem. I mean, you've got to remember what's actually been. Look at chemtrails. I mean, there's barium, there's aluminium, strontium, cadmium, all sorts of crap raining down on the earth, all over the place. But this is going into the soils, and it's not making it any easier for anything to grow. And it means everything: trees, plants, vegetables, everything. Let alone, like you said, about the strain and the family of the vegetable itself. It's been mucked with to reduce it in vitamins. And now, again, we're coming back to Codex Alimentarius. They're trying to outlaw the very things that keep us healthy in the first place. So, we're just not going to let them get away with this.
Well, starting this Monday, the EU are positively putting forward their seed licensing business, which means that if I've got a seed which I've had for forever, passed down, been in our garden for generations, if I were to give it to you, if it's not licensed as a proper EU seed that is reproducible and each one is the same as the next, you can't have it. So, in other words, when I got this organic firm, the first thing that really struck me is all the fruit trees. Every single one was different, and some were better than others, and some were gorgeous, and some were medium. They were all different, and I suddenly it clicked with me. Oh, this is wild. This is where everyone is different. This is the wild. This is the original. It's not the hybridized tree where every apple tastes and looks. But the way is that all the seeds must be all uniform, i.e., I suppose, hybridized, which is, it's so fascistly horrible, it's unthinkable. It's all on behalf of Monsanto and the other seed companies, of course.
Well, Monsanto, again, is a tool. It goes a lot higher than that. And that's where we take it to. We take it exactly where it belongs, and that's right to who's involved and what they're doing. There's a bigger plan afoot. But anyway, like you say, all of this stuff's going on. We shine the light on it and we bring it out in the open and try and do as best as we can. But this again, there's so much stuff packed into oils. So I'd like to bring sort of like Paul back on just to give us an idea about the magnitude of the healthy stuff that's in some of these oils. So, Paul, I wonder if you could give us a lowdown on that. Yes, we're lacking in a lot of these different elements, but the actual oils have concentrated amounts of these elements in them. So I wonder if you could just give us a couple of words on that.
Yes, the way I like to look at the essential oils is they are like super concentrated herbs. The essential oils can be up to 100,000 times stronger than the dried herb, and what that literally comes down to is like peppermint, for example. It takes several 100 pounds of peppermint just to produce 1 pound of peppermint oil. And if you put a drop of peppermint oil on your tongue, it's very intensely powerful and hot and burny and wonderfully tasting after you can breathe deeply for 30 seconds to a minute for it to calm down. But there's wonderful, wonderful properties that are very highly concentrated. Some of my favorite oils to use every day are lemon. Lemon, for example, I like to put it in my water because it will help flush out toxins. It goes in and helps dissolve the toxins out of the fat, pulls them out, flushes them out, helps assist the body. And, we are living in a very toxic modern day environment. Our toxins literally have grown exponentially. What scientists over here said that, the amount of toxins you're getting in a single day at your age, your parents did for an entire year. So it's good to always have things that'll pull those out and flush those out, because if they build up in your body, they will cause health problems and all types of health problems there.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. This is the point. That's why they're putting them in there. It's to throw us off balance.
Yes, and some other oils that are, vitally important. Frankincense used. I've already mentioned it earlier, but frankincense, most powerful anti-tumoral essential oil, wonderful for getting rid of cancers and tumors, and it's also beneficial for the skin and for the brain and the immune system, and as a general all-over body tonic. There's oils. Oh, my favorite oil, if I was on a desert island all by myself and I could only have one essential oil, that oil would be helichrysum. There's over 300 different species of helichrysum, but the variety you want is helichrysum italicum. And this oil, you literally have to see what it can do to actually believe it. I'll tell you what it does, but people don't believe it. But it's a first aid kit in the bottle. It will heal rapidly. I'll give you an example. My nephew, we had a family gathering, and my nephew was running through the play area, the swing set, and he caught his ear on the swing for some weird way, and it actually ripped his ear halfway off from his skull. And, is bleeding profusely. And my mother happened to have helichrysum in her purse, and she got it out, and she put a couple drops right on the wound. It stopped the bleeding immediately. It also had numbing properties. It took away the pain. And then she took out some tape and just taped his ear back. And literally the next day, his ear was reattached. 2 weeks worth of healing happens overnight. It's wonderful. It contains chemical composition that promotes rapid, massive cell growth. So literally that oil has saved me thousands of dollars just not going to the emergency room and getting stitches for myself and my family. And you have to see it to believe it, but it also has nerve regenerative components where you put the helichrysum on, and people with nerve damage, nerve deafness, and things like that, it will regenerate the nerves and allow you to have feeling and have function and regain your hearing back. Wonderful, wonderful properties of the essential oils. And literally you have to just turn around and experience them to believe how powerful they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're just truly amazing, these things. If people only understood the power of them, then it'd be incredible. I've got a couple of questions coming up. I'm going to have to just throw them out there for you while we're on the subject. What oils for No, it's just gone out of sight. Hang on. What oils for hormone rebalancing, progesterone, and estrogen? Sorry.
Well, the essential oil for the most powerful balancing of the hormones is clary sage. That oil is very extremely powerful to assist the natural balance of the hormones. And if you use too much of it, what it'll do is it'll swing your hormones out of the other way, and you'll get a low-grade headache there too. So you kind of have to use a really small amount and just use it and get it, but that'll balance your hormones, and that's really the most powerful one. There's some other oils like jasmine and rose, but they don't work anywhere near as powerful as clary sage. Another oil that's wonderful for menopausal women is rose geranium. Rose geranium you put it on, it'll stop a hot flash instantly. Lots of women, when they're going through menopause, will have a bottle and carry around that bottle because it works so wonderfully for that time of cycle in your life there. So, yeah, clary sage and probably rose geranium are the two top essential oils for having to deal with hormones.
I will, yeah, brilliant, thank you. I will mention this as well because it has been a question that's popped up. There's various forms of diabetes, and I'm aware of some exceptionally good treatments of diabetes with oils. So if you could just give us a couple of seconds on that, that'd be great.
Well, diabetes. Let me jump over. Well, I'll tell you some oils, then I'll tell you a supplement that's wonderful for diabetes. But there's some good things that people have done. Just with lemon and celery seed oil, those both of them will help pull out toxins. And a lot of times, just by getting the toxins out of your body, that'll help heal up your body so you don't have diabetes right there. But other oils are like dill seed oil. Also, there's an oil called holy basil. It's not associated. It's a completely different plant than regular basil. This is a plant that they use over in India, and they call it holy basil, and that's wonderful for assisting in balancing and for diabetics and bringing them back into balance. But what's even more powerful that we have seen, we have a supplement that we call, the defense supplement, the immune defense there. What that has in it, it has a Native American herb called siaga. And this herb is jam-packed full of beta-glucans, as well as germanium. It's one of the highest known natural source for the anti-cancer mineral germanium there. But it's jam-packed full of beta-glucans, and beta-glucans will activate the adult stem cells. And we have literally, a personal story. My grandmother, she's in her mid-80s. She's an old farm girl. She didn't want to change her diet, didn't want to do the doctor's medicine, didn't want to change her eating habits or do any supplements. Finally, after talking with her over and over and over again, she said that she would be willing to do 2 capsules of the defense supplement. And so she did, and we talked with her and throughout the months, and we asked, how do you feel? And she says, I've got better energy. I feel good. I'm not getting sick. I'm doing great. But it wasn't until 10 months later when she went in for her yearly physical where the doctor said, you're no longer diabetic. And she had been diabetic for 15 years. Literally, you go on this supplement, it'll activate your stem cells. Your stem cells will regenerate your pancreas, and you won't be diabetic anymore. We've had lots and lots of people no longer diabetic from that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the beauty of it. Thanks for that, Paul. That's brilliant. What I do want to do is pop back over to Rich, because just initially, one of the things that Richard's been doing is looking at the potential of using treatments of energy medicine and then applying the oils. And I know for a fact Richard contracted bird flu at one point, and he wiped it back out with a rainbow treatment on the spines. But I'll let him tell you about that. So you're there, Rich?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, I mean, Paul, I've been using lots of different oils from different companies, and I've been trying quite a few of yours over the last, 6, 7, 8 months, and must say I do like them immensely. And as you may well have had some feedback via Sandy, we are trying to organise to do some research at a leading bioenergetic institute to actually show effectively using different types of equipment that pick up energy signatures, the biophotonic release from low impedance acupuncture points, etc., to show how powerful these oils are. But I've had personal experience, let alone using them with many other people. And what happened to me was we just completed the biggest show in Ireland, in Dublin, and after the 3 or 4 days, we had a great time, but we saw, 3 days, many hundreds of people, a lot of them actually relatively coughing, sniffing, etc. And I don't know if it was bird flu, duck flu, swan flu, or Chinese flu, whatever some made-up name, but we're made to believe that's bad for us. But at 4 o'clock in the morning, when I was supposed to be getting a ferry back, I woke up with severe aches and pains. My temperature was 104, and you definitely know if you've got flu. It's very much different from a cold. I mean, a cold, not very pleasant, but if you got flu, you really know you got flu. So what I did was I treated myself with one of the main things that we use for activating coherence in the body, the Pain Genie scanner. And I treated my liver and the immune areas in the body, the liver, the spleen, and I had my girlfriend there treated my spine. But immediately after that, we applied the antiviral oils to my spine. I think it's known as the raindrop technique. Is that right, Paul?
That's correct. There's several different techniques, but yes, the raindrop technique is one of the names for it. Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the widely known name. But so my girlfriend applied these oils to my spine, and then I applied some 30 mil round pads to large intestine 4-point on the hand. I mean, this is sort of stuff that we show people with stuff we do with our website, etc., where they can log on and see these things and how to treat themselves. But with those 3 simple things, my temperature came down about half a degree every hour, and by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was feeling a lot better. And by 6 o'clock in the evening, so this is 12, 14 hours, I was walking along the seafront in Rosslare in Ireland, thinking to myself, it's quite a nice evening. Shall I have a pint of cold beer? Shall I have a pint of Guinness? And I thought, well, maybe that's not a good idea. I'll wait till tomorrow. But literally, we'd taken kind of severe flu, if you like, because I'm in 104 temperature, and we'd compressed it into 14 hours by using a combination of the oils and one acupuncture point, which is very easy, and the device. So I think the point being is that there is really no limit to where we can take this when we think about the frequency. Because what's interesting for me is that if you take a 1 foot length of rope or one foot piece of piano wire, and you pluck that, it will resonate with every other piece of 1 foot piano wire, or piano wire that's twice as long or half as long. And it will transfer the energy into the other piece of wire. So likewise, when you had people, I think his name was some guy called Dr. Montaginet, and he did an experiment, similar thing with DNA. And what he did was he took some DNA, he diluted it and put it into a test tube. He then put another test tube full of, I think it was distilled water next to it or within a foot of it, and he just applied a small current. I think it was something like 7 hertz. And within a very short period of time, the DNA had appeared in the other water in the other test tube. So the resonance, the oils that transfer energy and information, and energy medicine generally, it just powers the body up and gets the voltage going again.
Yeah, sorry about that. I lost my mute button there for a second. It looks like Clive's dropped off, and unfortunately, but we'll try and pull him back in. But yeah, that's a very good analogy. But I'm thinking about tuning forks. If you were to take 2 tuning forks and strike one and put one next to another, and the frequencies were coming off the tuning fork, it would resonate the other one to the same frequency, wouldn't it? Especially if it was tuned. But there's another analogy, the same kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is it's all harmonic. So I think, and Paul, please tell me if I've got this slightly skew-if, but if you take the kind of megahertz reading of different organs or areas of the body, if you can take that has the same harmonics, the same resonance, it will transfer energy and therefore voltage to that other system. Just like you can hit a tuning fork, 2 tuning forks, or 1 tuning fork, and the other one starts vibrating. So you take peppermint, and it tunes to the typical megahertz rating or the resonance of the brain, and that's why people say, "Oh, peppermint cleared my head," and it will supply voltage. Of course, if you've got to keep taking it, then there's an issue that you need to look at. In other words, if the body doesn't self-heal within a short period of time, then you've got to look at where the blockages are, and that's typically where the combination of things like oils and pain genie technology and really good products like simple Celtic sea salt, a massive range of different frequencies, and minerals, which all have their own frequency sets too.
Absolutely. Sorry about this, guys. We've managed to pull Clive back in, but he dropped up again for some reason. I'm not sure whether it's connection or what. Yeah, that's all cool. yeah, again, all about frequencies and, you know, the harmonics of the body and the harmonics of the universe. This is the point. We're in a harmonic universe. This is what we've been exposing, you know. But, yeah, oils have different frequencies. The body's different. Organs operate at different frequencies, and it's all about frequencies. Again, we've exposed this Boston bombing thing. It's all about they're putting negative frequencies into the energy ley lines of the earth. Again, manipulation of the frequencies. It all makes sense when you put it all together, and that's what we're desperately trying to do, and get that information over to you. You know, all harmonics.
Another thing, Tony, with to show you how good these oils are, and this I think was some oils that I got from Paul here. The pure lavender oil. I mean, I think the lavender is known as the king of the oils. And I had a young girl who had severe burns and was looking at having a skin graft, and applied the pure lavender directly to these very nasty burns down to the bone. And within 2 weeks of a combination of the lavender and the pain genie on the opposite limbs and on the spine, the healing was so dramatic you couldn't even see the scar. And we've got pictures of this. So, and that normally would have been a situation where you can imagine the kind of trauma and the pain you'd go through with skin grafts, for example, especially at an early age. I mean, I know that younger people typically they have better energy, or certainly used to before all the assault on the colas and the cokes and the highly acidic food that they're eating now. But typically the voltage of children's cells is minus 30 plus millivolts, whereas maybe an adult is minus 20 millivolts. And what we know is that if you hit minus 50 millivolts, in other words, you're an electron donor, and that cell then can turn into a cell that can actually repair and recreate itself. And we know if you're, and this relates completely to the acid-alkali balance. So if you're, for example, alkaline, it means you can see that the voltage is minus 50 or minus 40 or minus 20. So if you were, for example, very heavily alkaline, you might be at a very big minus level. But if you're acidic, you go down to a plus. And all that plus means is that you're an electron stealer. You steal electrons, which is not beneficial for the body. And we can see that with the combination of food products, essential oils, and these technologies, you can relatively quickly change the cell voltage from a plus to a minus, and therefore change disease. So cancer starts at about minus 30 millivolts, which is actually relatively acidic. So if you can get that plus 30 to a minus figure relatively quickly, then it also means that particular disease state can no longer be present. It's a bit like having the bow wave of a ship and the ship. You can't take the bow wave away from the ship if the ship's moving, you know, and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. Cause and effect. But, yeah, incredible stuff. I think we've got Clive back. Have we got you there, sir?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on another aspect. I believe you guys tonight, you guys the weekend did some incredible demonstrations of stuff on the stage over the weekend. So I wondered if you wanted to have a quick chat between yourselves about what happened and how you felt it went, just briefly.
Well, it's actually it's quite comical working with Richard, I mean, the first time I worked with a scanar on a stage, somebody came out from the audience, was worked on for 5 minutes, and we couldn't shut him up for the entire 2-hour talk. And it was as though we'd paid him. It really was so ridiculous that anybody would have believed we'd paid the man to be so nice about us. And on Saturday, it was just a repeat again. Pretty much everybody was overwhelmed with how incredible the results were in such a ridiculously short time. it is unbelievable. If you, you can understand why the most common sort of response to this sort of thing is, well, if it's this good, why doesn't my doctor know about it? And it's true, if it's this good, why doesn't the doctor know about it? And, I'm still very confident that actually, in a very short period of time, between now and the next few months, there could be a wave of understanding of people, because the answers aren't that difficult. It's not that you need a PhD to understand the simplicity of it. I mean, as was being mentioned before, one just needs the essential ingredients of life. They're somewhere between 90 and 100 of those essential ingredients. I think one of them is love, be it love for others, love of oneself, all the four elements. And, one of the most overlooked ones are the trace elements, the little teeny tiny ones that the scientists often say don't matter. The scientists say, well, look, when we do an autopsy on a human body, there is no yttrium anywhere in the body. Yttrium is one of these trace elements, and they say, well, we've examined the bodies. There is no yttrium there in human cells. However, there is yttrium used by the body, and what it is it's used by the bacteria that colonize our gut. They eat the yttrium, and they excrete a product that we then use. So, people think, well, bacteria in the gut, is that a big deal or not? But again, at autopsy, when they weigh the bacteria in the gut, there's usually a couple of kilos there. And in terms of numbers, we've got 100 trillion cells or something. There are 10 times as many bacteria as that. So, who are we? Are we us? Are we us plus the bacteria? Are we all of them? And really, to be working well, we're all of them. And, of course, that gut bacteria gets damaged, and it's super important to put it all back again. We are these wonderful self-repairing organisms. We are completely capable of repair to the very last day of our lives. When animals die of old age, they sort of fade away from a nutrient deficiency, basically. They get thinner and thinner and thinner until they just fade away. And we should be working on that basis. And people say, oh, well, animals are intuitive eaters, they know what to eat. But we are far more intuitive than we know. I met this woman a while back, fabulous woman who treated people with psychological issues with horses, and she said she ripped up all the plants in her garden and planted herbs for the horses, and then when the herbs and everything were ready, she also picked lots of hawthorn or whatever the horses like to eat, and when the ill horses used to be brought to her, and she'd just lay out all the herbs and all the berries that she'd picked, and the horses would simply self-medicate and fix themselves. And now there's a worldwide wave of vets who allow their animals just to self-medicate, as we know that dogs and cats do when they're not feeling up to scratch. But I think we haven't lost that ability. And I think the example is that imagine you could walk into a shop, and this shop was just fantastic. They had all those fruits and vegetables that you might remember if you're old enough from childhood. Maybe you might just have been lucky enough to go in the mountains where the wild strawberries are growing, as they'd always done, or you find the wild bilberries or whatever it is. You can smell those fruits from a distance. The same with the vegetables, the real ones. You're hyper aware of it just by being close to them. So imagine you walked into a shop like that, full of the mountain strawberries and all the most fabulous, your favourite fruits and vegetables, just the best ever. And there's a big sign saying it's all free. Help yourself. I think that you'd become hugely intuitive, and you'd see something that you like, and you'd have loads of it. You'd have gorge on that for a while, and then maybe you'd move on and gorge on something else. And I think that would be a bit like when we were living in the forest and it was abundant, and we could get the good stuff. And occasionally we'd stumble on, the bilberries for the first time this year, and we'd feast on those. And I think that if we can get hold of now the old seeds and the old varieties, and they still are available, if one's lucky enough to have gardens, I think we should be planting them. But in the meantime, to get the goodness that we used to get from those vegetables, early on, I think the first thing that everybody needs to be doing is being aware that fulvic minerals have all the trace elements that you need in perfect natural balance, and they're very inexpensive. They're completely natural, from the soil 100 million years ago. And if one just supplemented just with that alone, you're covering, say, between 60 and 70 of the essential 90 or so ingredients that you need. On top of that, you need the essential amino acids and the essential fats. And, the essential fats, again, are vital. Doctors seem to have forgotten, if they were ever taught in medical school, that the brain is made primarily of water, but the dry weight of the brain is fats, primarily cholesterol. And all this time we've been told to eat low-fat, low-cholesterol diets, and wondering why Alzheimer's, which didn't exist 50 years ago, is now hugely prevalent and on the rise. It's because we've been thinking somehow that fat's bad when you look at milk, cream rises to the top. There are two things that rise to the top, cream and scum. And they've told us, the scum have told us over the years, that the cream isn't good anymore, but by definition the cream is the best. It's always the best, it rises to the top. And so now one has to understand that one should be eating high cholesterol foods like, lightly cooked eggs, coconut oil, and I've seen Alzheimer's reversed. I've seen people who've told me, well, their mum couldn't speak on the phone anymore for the last 2 years because the Alzheimer's made her unintelligible. 6 weeks on a few tablespoonfuls of coconut oil, and she can speak on the phone again, reversing 2 years of Alzheimer's in 6 weeks.
Yeah, bit of silica to get the metals out of the body, and a bit of iodine as well, wouldn't hurt.
Absolutely. Iodine, essential. Magnesium, essential. Almost everybody is low on both of those, virtually the whole population.
Exactly.
And, you boost your iodine levels and your IQ goes up, your ability to think clearly, to have access to your memory, to remember why you walked in the room and where your keys are. Anybody who's got low body temperature, iodine is the answer to that. If you've got low body temperature, your hands and feet, fingers and toes are always cold, huge sign that your iodine levels are low. And pretty much everybody's iodine levels are low because of the chlorine in the water.
Yep, absolutely. This is why, I don't know if the point is what we used to eat, like mussels, you can see there's iodine in there, there's kelp and those sorts of things. But like you say, it's the same with the vitamins and minerals that are grown into the vegetables today. They're all deficient because they've been, the goodness has been bred out of them. But like I say, fortunately, the situation is we can deal with these things, and if we make an effort, we can grow our own foods and keep our own seeds and all those sorts of things. While we've got the opportunity at the moment, but incredible stuff.
You mentioned mussels then, and of all the farmed foods these days, actually mussels are one of the very cheapest and cleanest, safest, as I understand it, of all the farmed foods like that, because they grow in fast-flowing waters, unlike all the other farmed fish.
Yeah, totally.
Very, very nutritious.
The same as the small fish as well. I believe Richard's got some information on that. The anchovies and small fry are normally the best fish to go for because they don't build up toxins like the large fish.
Absolutely. The younger, the better. I had a very strange experience with fish when I was 11. I went fishing in very clear water, and we had a bucket with a glass bottom, and we could see the fish. And the person I was with put their hook in the water first, and within seconds the fish were interested in it, and he started catching fish right away. There were lots of them, and when I started fishing, they weren't interested. I didn't catch a fish the entire time, and I thought maybe it was something to do with the fact that this guy's rod was better or something. So the moment, when we could see what's happening, the moment I touched the rod, the fish, just who were a bit of a frenzy before, just stopped and just swam away slowly. And they weren't interested. The second he touched the fishing rod again, they instantly got excited and came back and wanted to bite. And the difference was that, A, he was really looking forward to catching fish, and I was dreading it. I hated putting the worm on the hook in the first place, and I dreaded the idea of hurting the fish by taking the hook out. And it was absolutely clear to me at 11 that they were reading my mind. You know, fish were reading my mind, and they could tell. It was weird.
Incredible. No, it's interesting. Now, that's also scalar waves, isn't it? But I mean, that's a whole different subject to what we're on, but no, it's interesting, that. You got any comments on that one, Paul?
Oh, nothing much there, but definitely I know the essential oils do change the memory, the brain, and all of that. We've had lots and lots of people. One example is I had a lady call me up, and she just got in her oils, and she called me up and she said, "I just want to tell you, I was clinically depressed. I mean, I was so depressed I was thinking suicide, and I got my oil in and I opened it up and I just took a big whiff," and she said within a second or two, literally all suicidal thoughts just dissipated and went away, and she said, "I was just in bliss and happiness and joy." And that has to do with the chemical makeup, but also very much the energy associated with the plants. When the plants are grown with love and care and distilled properly, and the farmers take care of their soil, that's all instilled in the essential oils, so they can have a very, very powerful effect emotionally as well on there.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one of the biggest things about the oils that you produce. It's the intent and the ingredients and the way it's put together and the way it's produced. It's all relative. But the more you put in, the more you get out. Energy goes where attention flows. Yep. We still got you there, Paul?
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yes. No, I'm still here, and there's so many different healing modalities and so many different ways that people can, just like hiking the mountain. There's many different paths you can go up and hike the mountain, but it's all about getting what's going to work for you and work for your body. But your bodies do have the ability to heal itself, I mean, that's why they're spending billions and billions of dollars on stem cell research, just because the doctors and scientists know that if you cut off your arm, that your body has the ability to grow a new arm. I mean, they've done it with fingers and with ears with the stem cells, and they're trying to just hit upon that magic button to wake up your body so it'll start regenerating and rebuilding. So if people have a health condition or have some type of health concern or emotional concern, go out and try the essential oils, try the supplements, try the different modalities of healing, because one will work. We've seen it time and time again where doctors have written off their patients, go home and die. You're going to die within the next couple of weeks to a month. Be able to come and literally have a miracle happen in their lives. So there's so much to do, and just go out and discover what's going to work best for you and best for your body.
Yeah, absolutely. All the different things are there as long as you're aware they're there. That's one of the main things. It's like the horses with the different herbs and spices. They could pick which ones they wanted, and they instinctively knew which ones it was that they were looking for. And, if we've got all these options here, we need to be aware of them and be using them. That's the situation, isn't it? Simple as that. But it's getting that information across to people in the first place, which is why I'm, suggesting that everybody should keep and download a copy of this so that they can refer back to it, and they can, help in themselves rather than running to the bloke in the white coat. You've got an opportunity here to actually do this stuff yourself, and that's all we're encouraging you to do. Take an interest in it, grow your own vegetables, herbs, etc. Know about a couple of oils. Richard's mentioned to me, if he's still there, I think it's probably about 5 or 6 essential oils that should be in everybody's emergency first aid kit, for example. They include clove, lemon, thieves, which are vital oils. I believe you've got a different brand of thieves, Paul, but I wonder if you could comment on that one, Richard, if you're still with us.
Yeah, sure. One thing that I like to sort of come back to is when we think about simple things, really simple things like oil pulling, swishing oil about in your mouth to pull out toxins that help the heart, help the gums, help the mucous membranes, help the small intestine, which is the same frequency as mucous membranes. When we think about the sun as being, the sun is our father in the planet, and the earth is our mother. And if we go back to those Hermetic kind of principles of the earth giving birth to us, because most people have a disconnect between the idea that we're just in a lump of rock sailing through space and we know it all, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter what, we're just a lump of rock, because it's only a lump of rock. And of course we're destroying this, not just lump of rock, we're destroying our mother. And the planet has given birth to us, because sunlight hits the planet. The planet has caused plants to grow, and therefore animals eat the plants, and we eat the plants and the animals. But what's interesting is that the plants actually have more genes than we have. And when you start looking at it, isn't it kind of the beginning of consciousness in many ways, where you see a situation perhaps like when a child is born, you think, we're kind of born intelligent and grow stupid. Maybe, in fact, plants are far more intelligent than we are. They certainly have far less negative impact. They don't cause wars and God knows what else that we seem to be very good at, or at least a small percentage of humans, shall we say, inverted commas, are capable of. So if the planet's given birth to the plants really are the lifeblood of everything. The only way we could change this, and coming back to essential oils being fantastically powerful, because we've got all that wonderful power of the blood of the plant, we're actually taking that life force. But when it comes back to it, I think we have to think about some of the simplistic ways of it. And the simple ways of doing things, which we've already talked about, from essential oils to things like the pain genie to the things that Clive talked about, come back to real basics. Sun gazing. So when you start looking at the sun, and we think back to Lemuria, Atlantis, and information seems to show that the Atlanteans had a pineal, the pineal the size of a golf ball, and they seem to take energy in from the sun, and maybe bypass the middleman. Maybe the plants and the animals were really the middlemen to getting us into human form, into where we are. And if we could bypass that and have it directly through the eyes into the pineal and charge the body up, then we can use these things even more powerfully. So I think as far as the oils go, they are absolutely fundamental in changing brain chemistry, in changing health, in changing emotions. And if we start looking at people who are more blocked because of all the plethora of diseases or things that cause disease, and mainly based on fear and emotions, then we start adding in those other things that I do, and certainly that Clive does. We've really got a kind of a three-way triangle that I don't really think there's many things that can't touch. And because we're very careful, we don't say too much, because there's fairly draconian laws that if we say one thing out of line, we suddenly get stamped on. It's okay to claim that this drug will do that and this synthetic drug will do that, and then we can list 500 side effects. That's okay. And if the drug happens to send you off to meet your maker, that's just collateral damage. if somebody were to take, God forbid, a vitamin or something else that caused that, well, we'd all be shut down, and that's what they're doing, even if there's no evidence for it. So I think when it comes back to it, we just make it simple, and hopefully between the type of work you're doing, Tony and Kate, and everybody else getting this information out, at least people can have a choice to try this stuff. I mean, it really is very inexpensive.
Exactly, and it's the information that counts, you know. If you're informed of a choice, in other words, you can choose this or choose that, that's one thing. But if you're not informed in the first place, that's a completely different situation.
And of course, right now we've got the Monsanto. By the way, I think on the 25th of May, there's a kind of World Against Monsanto Day, isn't there?
Not sure if I've caught that one. Might be.
I'm pretty sure. I think if you check out, I think it's May the 25th. I know it's happening in Cork, in Dublin, in cities in the UK and elsewhere. I think the website's something like occupy-monsanto.com, something like that. But it's certainly, I think, the 25th of May. But you can check it out and see what's going on. But you know what we do see is that everything that's really good for one, in other words, simple, is suddenly being taken away. And if that's not enough to make people wake up and smell the flies, then I don't know what is. You know, the water now is owned by the water companies. Anything that's good for us is now being licensed. I believe in Ireland, I was told recently that even chickens are going to be licensed. I mean, how on earth can you license a bloody chicken? And then, of course, the idea is that chickens have to be vaccinated. So I just think that the more mad it gets, at some point, the critical mass hopefully will wake up and go, well, you know, guys, enough's enough. Let's just get back to basics and withhold our taxes or just do something. You know, just.
Well, this is the point. I mean, being aware is one of the main things. I mean, it's actually illegal to pay taxes because you're paying into a terrorist organisation that wants to go and bomb other countries, as Tony Rock pointed out, for example, and many others since. And, you know, there is no law that says you have to pay into a terrorist organisation or else. You know what I mean? It's quite the opposite. If you turn around and say, well, look, I refuse on moral grounds to do that because you're going to go and do this with it, you're actually standing in honour, not in dishonour. And that's what it comes down to. It's a balance of it's complicated. Kate and I go into this all the time, but anyway, we're trying to keep this show onto the things that people can learn about and do, reference their health. You know, they can take their power back. You don't have to go running to somebody who's going to irradiate you for cancer all the time. You can learn something about baking soda or cannabis oil, which is, you know, going to do a lot more for you than a shed load of radiation.
Can I just ask? Sorry, Tony. Can I just ask Paul? He mentioned about immune defense power, I think, to the product. And I've had some of that, and it does come out very nicely. And it's got, I believe, Paul, am I right in saying that's the one with black cumin?
Correct, yes. The black cumin there, it's an oil, it's an essential oil that's been used over, well, it's they use it in the seeds and things, but we extract the oil from the seeds. It's been used over in the Mediterranean for thousands of years to cure up all types of illness. Matter of fact, they have a popular saying that the black cumin cures every illness except for death. And there's lots of research out there showing that how very powerful it is. Matter of fact, one of my favorite books is Black Cumin, the Magical Egyptian Herb, put together by two doctors. And on page 23, it says something along the lines of, quote, you know, black cumin proved to be more effective than chemotherapy and radiation treatments without the serious side effects. Wonderful for treating cancers there. So it has that. That's the second most wonderful ingredient in the immune defense product. Is I like the Siaga first because I just love that, but the black cumin is in it. We have the muscadine grape. We've got some allicin. We've got some it's enzyme active rice bran rice germ. We didn't want to use any cornstarch or anything that's as a flow agent. So what we used was the enzyme active rice bran and rice germ, because it's one of the highest known natural sources for B vitamins, plus it's jam-packed full of antioxidants. So there's lots of wonderful, great things in it to assist your body in rebuilding.
Yeah, thanks for that, Paul. I know, because I took some of the product into the natural medicine clinic in Dublin, and we did some tests on it, and it did come out very, very strongly, especially on kinesiology and a few other things. So, I think you really have got some very, very nice products there, and the formulation is interesting because it is different from a lot of other stuff. I don't mean other stuff is not necessarily good, because we do look at a lot of things, but I must say you've come up with a bit of a winner there, I think, yeah?
Oh, yes. I think everybody on the planet should use it and have it. When I tried to get it out there, when the bird flu was very popular, I had a friend of a friend who was over there in Singapore, and he was a part of their, the Sing Health, which is the FDA equivalent, but they had 4 people in the hospital. They were poultry workers that had bird flu, and so I overnighted them 4 bottles of the immune defense, thinking that they would use it for a trial and test it out, and they did. But what we found out was they used it on 2 of their patients, and those both got better and lived. The other 2 they didn't use it on, and both of them died. And then they turned around and they did it on an animal study using pigeons, and they fed the pigeons in their food this immune defense along with their food, and all of those pigeons lived, whereas all the ones that they didn't feed it all died. So, I mean, it just does wonderful things to modulate the immune system that you can turn around and get over deadly illnesses or plagues or whatnot, but just even minor illnesses in a matter of hours, and wonderful healing stuff. I think the whole world should be on it.
No, that's great. I mean, it reminds me of, again, more Russian research. There was a guy called Professor Antonov. I think it's Antonov. And he was playing around with sacred geometry and pyramids. And Tony and I and quite a few of us have been looking at sacred geometry as far as creating energy vortexes and healing, and not just growing far more of particular crops. But what he did was, he I think, I can't remember the actual size of the pyramid, but he actually got a pyramid set up in Russia, and he put some distilled water in the middle of the pyramid, and then he administered 1 millimeter of this solution to 20 different premature babies who were almost certainly going to die, and there was really not much hope for them. And guess what? Every single one of them had a complete recovery. And so what we already know is that it's not just the product and the frequency, but it's what you package it in, what you package the thing in, and it's your intent you put behind it. So given the fact that if you're really into giving people choice and healing, and you put that intent into it, it seems to add, I think, probably what David Wilcox would probably call the source field. It increases the energy into it, and therefore more things are possible. We found that with what we're doing, and when you use these simple techniques that we've been trying to get out there and demonstrate, the techniques are powerful. But if you really have the intent to heal, it seems to dramatically increase the power of them.
Yeah.
If that was something that 1 + 1 is not 2, the fusion is 11. So I'm quite optimistic, really, even though there's a lot of fairly negative stuff going on, that we can actually visualize and create some rather nice utopia. It just means that as it comes towards it, it could be a bit bumpy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned the pyramids, because, you and I both know we've manufactured these pyramids and experienced them firsthand. Once you've experienced them, there's not really a lot else that is. It just blows your mind. Be it downloads, or be it vibrational energy, or be it cell reconstruction, or DNA, activation. There's all sorts of things going on with pyramids. As Richard and I have spent years studying all of this stuff. But it's very, very interesting. Again, it comes back to sacred geometry, harmonics, and and vibrations. So, all amazing stuff. I don't know if you want to mention your other half in her experience.
Oh, with the pyramids.
Mm.
Well, all I can say is that, shall we say that there was a situation that where someone was attempting to become pregnant, and before actually the event of becoming pregnant, while in a pyramid, there was a poke from the inside, which was the unborn child saying, "Look, I'm here and I'm coming." Now that may sound absolutely crazy, and it did to me, and did to many others.
Well, it sounds like everybody got knocked off. I don't know if anybody can hear me. This is Carol.
Hello, Carol.
Oh, Tony, there you are, honey. Everybody got knocked off there for a second, so you're back. Back to you, dear.
Okay, I'm here. Have we still got Richard and still got Paul?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Right, so it's us guys then. So it must be Kate that got knocked off then. Are you there, Kate?
Yeah, that's what I said. If I get hit, you get hit. So.
No, we know that. But
yeah, I'm here. Of course, I'm here. You wouldn't be on the air otherwise.
I was trying to figure out if it was you that dropped or whether it's Clive that dropped, but now I understand what you're saying.
As soon as you hear a couple of pings, you'll know it's. That's what I was checking, and Clive got dropped. I'll try to bring him back into the call.
Smash it. Thank you.
Where are we? No worries. Good slave. Where are we? Clive. Come on. Sorry, Peter's a bit slow here. There we go. Let's see if we can bring him back in. There. And it is ringing. Wait for it. There you go. Well, everyone's back in the game. There you go. Take her away. Okay, before we... Okay. Tony just got dropped. Yeah, fun game.
Yeah, I just got knocked off there for a second.
Yeah, somebody else just got zinged too. Carol, while we're getting zinged here, could you, I had an individual ask for your contact information. That's why I ask you, because I get hit with a lot of this. People ask me, how do I get a hold of Carol? So if you could share all the contact information, an email address if you set up a new one, anything you can for people to get a hold of you.
Okay, honey, thank you very much.
No worries.
My internet site is WWL, WF as in family. That all stands for Worldwide Lightworker Family, so it's WWL, WF dot blogspot. No, it's not blog. I'm sorry. WWLWF dot live journal. That's LIV as in Victor E journal JOURNAL.com. And if you folks don't have a computer, I will give you the phone number for our call on Wednesday and Thursday nights at 8:45 Eastern Time in the USA, and that would be 218-936-4141, and the PIN number is 200-100-pound. And I'll leave it at that. My phone number, my personal phone number is on the internet site. You can call me. I'm very available. Thank you very much for being interested. We love you. Thank you, honey.
Thanks, Carol. Appreciate it. All right. And now, back to the show.
Cheers. Appreciate it. Yeah, I forgot where we were. Yeah, pyramids, Richard.
I don't know where we could cut off. It's all I can say to anyone listening out there. Some amazing things have happened in pyramids, and this particular situation Tony was referring to was where an unborn child was actually connected with her mother before the mother was pregnant. And as bizarre as this may seem, it does seem in this wonderful world we live in, because we've been given so much stuff information, we can't think outside the box properly. And you've only got to look at the pyramid experiments in Russia and what Wilhelm Reich came up with. I mean, he found that things were forming out of sterile out of sterile soil, and he could see blue flashes of light. He called them bions. And then beings, or should I say insects, animals appeared out of nowhere. So I think we can work out from that frequency and sacred geometry can create life. And indeed, I think that's probably how the Earth decided as a consciousness to create us. Maybe plants first, and then, sure, dinosaurs and everything else, but it was an all experiment into trying to create some life form. I think we just have to look outside the box and remember that the planets, and as another scientist found, that what they thought was dust in the cosmos or floating through space was actually apparently seems to be 99.99% bacteria, all capable of life. So it may well be that we're just teeming with life, and we just got a bit shut down thinking we're only this one small rock that's floating through space.
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying, it's like this claim that there's not life on other planets. It's utterly ridiculous. Life is everywhere. Life is pervasive.
You have a caller, by the way.
Yeah, throughout the universe, etc. But yeah, if we've got a caller, that'd be great, Kate. If we could bring them in and see if they've got a question for us.
Okay, area code 954. Your mic is open.
Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yes. I've been listening. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I've been listening to your program as frequently as I can. I don't have any electricity or computer yet, but I was interested in some of the essential oils that you mentioned, and I'd like to know how to contact the person who has them.
Yeah, absolutely. All of the gentlemen with us tonight are all contactable through Syncrenicity.com. That's hang on, I've got lost it. SYNCRENICITY.com. Syncrenicity.com. There's a banner at the top of the page, on the front page, under Health. If you just hover over that banner, there'll be 3 websites that will drop down under Health. Again, all critical stuff to health. So that's how you can contact them. They're all contactable that way. Or contact me, and we can go from there. It's not a problem.
Hey, Tony, this gentleman doesn't have access to a computer at this time. Is there any way that there can be a phone number given out or some way to find him?
That's an interesting problem and question. Not at this time, no.
Caller, you're in the U.S., yeah?
Yes, I was going to suggest that perhaps I can get the information through Carol.
What? Yeah.
I will try to get it for you, honey.
And or you can have my cell number. Again, I use it only for emergency purposes, guys. So
I'll call you and get it.
No, that's okay. I'll give it to him. That way he's got direct access, and I can point him wherever he needs to be.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. Area code 226-971-96. 9675. Yeah, that's right. So 971-9675.
Okay.
The phone number that has no name. Seriously. Yeah. So just get a hold of me, and I'll put you in touch.
Thank you.
No worries.
And thank you, Carol.
That's great. No problem. All good. Have we got any more callers, or just that one, Kate? Okay. Richard, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Tony, yeah.
Okay, just trying to figure out whether or not everything's working still. Yeah. So, like I say, I mean, energy is a massive part of healing and life and frequencies. So, one form or another, whether it's light or whether it's electricity or, it's incredible stuff. And that's what we've got to get back to, energy and medicine, and understanding what's going on with, balances and our health in general. Have you got anything you want to add on to that one, Clive or Paul or Rich?
No, I just think that probably the biggest thing is keeping everything simple, because if things aren't simple, then people don't know where to look for it. They get confused, and they usually end up going to some professional. I'm not saying that they're all don't know what they're saying, because of course a lot of them do, but they go to somebody else and give their responsibility away. So I think a lot of the really simple things in life are free, and some of them don't cost very much money either. So I would just keep it simple and try and follow where your heart leads you, and just talk to other people, like-minded people, and get some resonance there. Follow it that way.
And do some research on these things. This is the only way that you find it out. I mean, what we're trying to do with this show tonight is just to open people's awareness a little bit, that they're not, these things are here, these things are available for you to use. We want to help you understand the information, and then you can utilize that information to help yourself. And that's the whole point, about getting you the information to make the decision in the first place. You need to have your options open.
It strikes me that we could be emptying the hospitals worldwide if people understood a few basic facts, as we've discussed. I mean, if you added in making sure you got enough vitamin D, enough vitamin C, taking colloidal silver, the infection rate on the planet would go down to virtually zero if people understood the power of the essential oils and colloidal silver.
Yeah, completely agreed. Yeah, this is the point. If you understood the massive effects that these things can have, you can change. You can change your own future, and that's what it's about. It's not putting the power into somebody else's hands. It's empowering you as a person and your knowledge. I mean, you might not necessarily have to go out and buy oils. You can get the right foods and start growing in the window boxes, we pointed out earlier. But being aware of, I'm iodine deficient or magnesium deficient, or I haven't got enough salt, so I'm depressive, no electrolytes, etc. Or, any of these problems. There's lots of different aspects to it. But if you just begin by looking and doing some research on these topics, and maybe follow some of the advice of these people that we're giving you or bringing here today to help you see a little bit about what else is out there if you look. It's all about information. You've got to be informed.
But one of the very important elements that I think is worth stressing is the quality of the items. The oils that Paul is talking about are exceptional in the world. There are very, very few people on the planet who are making them of that sort of quality. And this is very important because the vast majority of the supplements that are being sold in the very best health food stores around, for example, are unfortunately not what you'd like them to be. I was speaking to one of the big suppliers here of the raw materials, and they were saying that 95% plus of the vitamin C these days comes from China, and it's made from genetically modified corn. And so almost nothing is quite what it might seem. And really, like most professions where there's only 1% of professionals who are really good or really good and suit you, there's a very tiny percentage of supplements that really, really work. And it is important to find the companies whose supplements are really effective.
Yeah, totally. It's no good buying, mass-produced, buy them in cheap and stack them on Chinese supplements. It's just you're wasting your time, wasting your money, and doing your health a disservice, to say the least. But yeah, again, all about using the best ingredients and the best methods. You want to comment on any of that, guys? Paul or Rich?
Oh, for us with the essential oils, we very much try to go for the therapeutic extraction and go and get the most healing benefits out of the plants. But if you don't know where to start, just simply just go and grab one oil, any oil for that matter, and start experimenting with it. But some of the basic oils, lavender is a real great one because it's kind of a universal oil, good for lots of different things, or peppermint. But once you start playing around with it and using these oils, you're going to fall in love with them, and then you're going to try more and more and more. The blends are a great way to use as well because they've been put together for a specific purpose. You know, if you have food poisoning or stomach issues or digestion issues or nausea or morning sickness or things like that, anything having to do with nausea and motion sickness or food poisoning, you can use one of the blends for our stomach and digestion, the tummy rub. Or you can, if you're having a hard time thinking, you can use a blend for the focus, for the brain and waking that up. So they're fun. Just go out there and experiment, and you'll love them.
Absolutely, that's the point. You've got to experience them first before you actually realize how powerful they are. But yeah, incredible stuff. And it's very much the same with energy medicine. So I wonder if I could bring Richard back in here at the moment, because I mean, until you've experienced energy medicine, it's like no way. But when you've experienced it, it's like holy cow. It changes the whole playing field. So, can you give us a bit of information on this, Rich? It's your baby.
Well, yeah. I mean, energy medicine is a kind of a really wide field. I mean, everything from essential oils to sun gazing to, for example, one thing that we try and show people how easy it is to use if you just keep it simple. I mean, the Pain Genie, any of Clive's products that he spent so long looking at and understanding so that he can give you really unbiased advice. I mean, we're all in a similar kettle of fish. I guess really, if anyone was had not a lot of money, but a limited amount of money, can get some of the products we're talking about here, I think they would have amazing results. I think to keep it simple, though, for those people who don't really have very much and want to do it in the simplest possible way, if you just look at oil pulling, search it on Google, and look at sun gazing, and do it as it's told. In other words, it's very safe and you can do it as long as you've got some sun, of course, does help. Then build on that and look at all the other things from the real basics. And the biggest thing, of course, is visualize good stuff. Be aware of the stuff that's going on, but do visualize a bright, happy future, because otherwise we're going to create the very thing that we don't want. So I think just keep it simple and get on to Syncrenicity and look at what the information I think that is on there regarding this broadcast and program, and make your own minds up.
Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely one for the archives, guys, because you've got 3 experts here that all know their stuff. And, you know, if there's one radio show, one situation, and one bunch of information you might want to take in properly, it might just be this. You know, if you listen to this 3 or 4 times over, the information will get itself into your brain that, you know, there's all this stuff that you can do to help yourself and to maybe look into the energy field, or look into the oils, or look into the nutrients, or maybe get that cupboard in your kitchen growing some chia or some sprouted beans and things, lemongrass, wheatgrass, loads of different superfoods that you could turn that cupboard into. Instead of it just sitting there in dust with plates in it, stick a flipping couple of fluorescents in there and start whacking out some superfoods and start watching your family bounce off the walls, you know. You can do this stuff. It just means making that decision. Again, Kate and I talk about a lot of the times you've got to make the decision first. All of the actions come after that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'll just have a go. I'll just have a play. I'll just have a look. I'll just do it. And that's where it all starts, because you're going to realise, wow, I love this. This is brilliant. I love the oils. I love the nutrition. I love learning about this subject. And the rest will come. Each journey starts with a single step. And I'm really proud to be able to be here with these guys tonight, bringing you this information, because I do realise how important it is for you. And that's always the first one. You know, you've got to get the information so you can make a decision. So I'm just going to stop rant at that point and let anybody who wants to speak. We've got, we're closing up the show now, but all of these, Richard Cumbers, Paul Dean, and Clive DeCarl are all reachable through the website Syncrenicity.com. I want to say briefly, Thank you to Paul of Critical Mass Radio. Had a wonderful show today. That was a really good show. I think we all loved it. From Kate, some incredible information coming out today from that. God bless you, Kate, for that. And, if you want to speak, guys, speak away or further hold your information. Up to you. Go for it.
Well, I'll just say thanks for having me on. It's always nice to get onto the radio and share some things that we know work. And also just to, communicate with other people like Paul and Clive, who are obviously very passionate about what they do. And I think it's the passion, really, because for most people listening here, I don't think any of us are making, probably not even making a living out of this. It's just we're doing it because we think it's the right thing to do. And if we can change give some people the right information, change a few things, then I think that's the way to go. We have to give to re-give. And hey, that's about it for me anyhow. So thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Brilliant stuff. And yeah, Richard's absolutely right. I mean, I happen to know the situation, and the situation is the guys out there doing the best for people are not raking it in like the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, or the pharmaceutical companies. God, that makes me angry. Just that word. But yeah, so there you go. The best people out there are not always the ones that are, the people doing it for the right reasons are doing it for the right reasons. That's the point. It's the integrity behind it. And that's why we're bringing this information. Paul, have you got a couple of words for us, my friend?
Just start off with the basics wherever you're at in your own personal health. Try, doing the little things of drinking a little bit more water, eating more fresh fruit and vegetables, using the essential oils. Just do the little things. You'll find a dramatic increase to your energy levels and to your overall health. Because I go and I see people, in their 80s and 90s that have been in a wheelchair for the last 20 years and have a really miserable life in their older years, where you turn around and you see people who eat healthy or trying to do some good things, out there running the marathon when they're 90. The simple little things that you do to give your body these building blocks will pay you off great dividends down the road in your older years. So just start off slow, go and eat healthier, drink some more water, do all that, because you'll really appreciate it down the road.
Absolutely fantastic advice. This is the point. And above all else, try and help other people to get this information, because if other people are empowered with this, they can help. Maybe you might want to look at doing some of this instead of going for that chemo, or, do you know what I'm saying? Try and help people. Say, look, Dottie, down the road, I know you've got a couple of lumps on your leg, you might want to look at this, or something, anything, but just help give the information to others and let them make their own minds up from it. But everything that we can do to empower people with the information is what it's about, And Clive, can we have a couple of words from you, mate? We've got 4 minutes, and I think what we'll do is wrap it up there, because there's going to be a lot of people that want to download this information. It's extremely valuable. Clive, have we still got you, mate? You look okay from here. Can't hear you, though.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's loud and clear.
Great. Well, obviously there are so many subjects we could be talking about, but people need to be aware, I think, that a lot of things that would have previously been thought impossible are very, very possible. For instance, people need to be aware that blindness is being reversed these days. You would have thought, well, that's not possible, but it is. And perhaps on another program I can explain to people how that's being achieved. People with glaucoma are getting their vision back. That normally wouldn't have happened in the past. People who've had corneal damage, acid splashed onto their cornea, are getting their vision back. there's a lot of stuff going on now. It's hard almost to keep up with the advances with stem cells and all the other techniques. So it's very, very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the biggest shock of all is we've forgot most of it. It's only the fact that we've not, researched this stuff for ourselves and bothered to look, but we've trusted people in white coats and stuff. That's why we forgot all of this stuff in the first place.
And some of the information, I've tried to put on the website as much information as to how to do it for free as possible. But one of the things that's almost free are pinhole glasses. For 10 quid or something, you can buy pinhole glasses, and just 15 minutes a day. Within 2 weeks, some people are reporting noticing a difference. It's fabulous.
Absolutely, absolutely. Richard introduced me to those a while ago. Pinhole glasses just cut down the level of the light and retrain the iris. It's amazingly simple. But then they want you to go to opticians and spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on glasses, which make your eyes worse. There's a system here, and that's what we've uncovered. But anyway, God bless you guys. Thank you for listening in to this show tonight. And I really would appreciate it if you can get this information out to as many people as possible. It's important that people are empowered with this information. And God bless you all. Thank you for coming on Cosmic Blueprint shows, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yep, cheers, thanks.
All good. Okay, on that, we're going to knock it on the head for the night so people can get this download. And God bless. Thanks for listening. And thanks for coming. Cheers.
Good night, all.
Yeah, God bless.
Good night. God bless.